Buenos dias, Richard.
My goodness, we're into Spanish already? It's too early for Spanish, man. Buenos dias, señor.
Good.
Hola, ¿cómo está usted?
Never too early for Spanish. Never too early. I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, the viewers don't know that you actually speak Spanish. You help kids learn, work with their homework, and you actually speak Spanish. I think that's amazing. I'm envious.
Thank you, Rick. I need some work, man. I got a lot of, we both have a lot of friends who are native speakers, and so that helps me stay sharp. My accent needs some work, but nothing like a trip to down south to get an immersion program going, and I'll be fluent again.
That'd be great. I'd like to go with you if you do that.
Oh, dude, you always down for a road trip, always.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I thought we'd do a show, and this one was asked, another inspired show from one of our friends and listeners. We're so grateful for everyone who listens to our podcast, and thank you for all the contributions that you make to the subject matter. We did a series, Healthy Boundaries. Part one was healthy boundaries with people in your life, whether it's colleagues or loved ones, spouses specifically. And then Healthy Boundaries 2 was asked that we do that one regarding our children, and now the latest request has been Healthy Boundaries Part 3. And I think this will end our series. This is Healthy Boundaries from Your Ego. So you want me to kick that off?
Well, that's a monstrous topic. And, I would say if you boiled all of Buddhism down, it would be the idea of how you master the ego. So we're about to tackle a topic that's been in flux for 3,000 years by some of the world's most amazing and spiritual minds. And I don't know how we're going to do that in 10 or 15 minutes, but let's give her a whirl.
Let's take a stab at it. Well, I think for me, it really, I think we'll probably end the show with this takeaway, is that it's something that you will never stop doing, is creating the healthy boundaries with respect to your ego. It's an ongoing process that requires practice, and you benefit from other people that are on a similar path as you, who can lovingly and compassionately let you know when your ego has taken over how you're showing up. And that's one of the things that I've done, is that I've set up a few little, what would I say? I set up a system in my life that kind of alerts me when my ego has shown up. So how, like, when you at your home, you have these sensors that come on the property. Let's say in your case, a deer run past your backyard, that a light will come on. And so I've got these little sensors on in my life, for me, that they're personal sensors, and they've gotten stronger and stronger over the years. Before, they were very weak, like nothing would trip them, and so the ego would be running. So, for example, an event would happen, somebody would say something, look a certain way, and I would judge, and I would go on and on about it, and I would be making enemies left and right. Something in life would happen, a flat tire, I didn't get a job promotion, somebody else got it. Someone didn't thank me for something, I didn't feel valued, people weren't making time for me. The list goes on and on. There was no censor. The censors were very weak. I would stay in those spaces of being angry, upset, resisting, and judging, depressed, anxious for years. So I had my censors were very weak. Once I started doing the practice and telling my friends to help me, my censors started to get a little bit stronger. And so instead of dwelling in something for years, it would be weeks. Instead of for being just trapped in my ego, it started to become days. And my awareness got stronger and stronger. The lights would come on when something would happen. Somebody would say something, an event in the world would happen. I would judge a celebrity, judge a friend, judge myself. All those things would happen, and I would catch it faster and faster and faster. And then I started telling you and our other friends to let me know when my ego was showing up to our precious time together. Then you guys would help me catch it. So I'm boiling this down to, I started setting up these sensors. And whenever I would feel angry, I would feel shame, I would feel guilt, I want to blame somebody. Whenever I felt that I was losing joy in that moment, whenever I feel like I was no longer peaceful, that I was waking up in the middle of the night thinking about something, when I was going to bed with something on my mind that wasn't about gratitude. Those would become those sensors to me. Keith, you're not right. You're not quite balanced spiritually. You know, you don't feel calm. Your soul feels agitated. Those would become my sensors. And then I would start to notice that my healthy boundaries were not up to my ego, and it was driving the bus at that moment. So my healthy boundaries have become empowered by a practice every day that keeps me alert, that keeps the batteries in my sensors, and also my friends like you who help me and my colleagues at work. What about you?
I love the idea of sensors, and what you're talking about is the idea that you have some sort of inner monitor when you can feel that it's not quite right. And it usually, when you look deep inside yourself, when you're suffering, it has to do with something to do with the ego. And what I mean by ego is the wish that things were different than they are, or an expectation that you have that you feel is not being met, or a desire that you want things to be a certain way and they're not that way. Those are all things that cause suffering, and each and every one of those, all of those, come from the ego. So when we talk about the practice, what we're talking about is a mindfulness of knowing that the ego is causing our suffering because we want things to be a different way. We want things to go a certain way, and because they're not, we're frustrated and we suffer. When you get to the point where you realize that the ego is the one that's in control and causing the suffering, boom, you can have that light switch go off, the sensor trip, and you can say to yourself, yeah, okay, I get it. Here's where I'm at right now. I'm feeling agitated or I'm feeling upset, and it's my ego that's doing it. So I'm going to reset, recalibrate this, and just be aware of that and not go down that road. We can do that. It's just very difficult in the West, in America, where we're so focused on goals and we're focused on material acquisitions. Very, very difficult for us to equate wanting more with something bad. And by bad, I don't mean bad for the world. I mean bad for us personally. There's nothing wrong with having nice things. It's just that when you become so focused on having things that you lose yourself, and that attachment starts running you, that's when you have some major issues. So the monitoring, I think, Keith, what you just described, the sensors, that's a wonderful way to go. And you're right, we do need people around us to remind us of that. But the real joy that people, I think, will discover is once you go down this path and you start realizing that your own desire, your own expectations, your own wishing for things to be a different way is causing you suffering. If you can take that away, that creates space for something that's much more beautiful, much more contemplative, much more calm, much more able to help get through life and make you feel more joy and more willing to help others.
100%, man. And just like with anything else, it requires you to be, conscious. It requires you to be vigilant, and you have to make it non-negotiable. You have to really value the present moment in any form that it shows up. A difficult coworker who is just not exhibiting conscious behavior, your children not behaving or the way that you want them to behave, an illness, loss of some form, whether it's a loved one or material things or a job. Any of that resistance is just going to cause suffering, and that resistance is normally being chauffeured in by the ego, and that's a difficult concept for people to sometime embrace. But in my life, it's been true for me. And once I started to just be non-negotiable about giving that away to the ego, I started to put up sensors. And even now, Rick, something will happen and I don't catch it fast enough. once I do come back to the present moment, whether it's you or our friends or my colleagues at work that clue me into that, hey man, where'd you go for a second? And physically everyone saw me there, but I was having an out of body experience because I was like judging and I was giving agreement. Yeah, I know what you're saying. This will never work. What are they doing? What are they thinking? I'm doing all that nonsense. Whenever that happened and I'm brought back to the present moment, I'm like, oh, okay. Up there, there's a blown bulb out there. we need to put a new battery in that sensor, and then or there's no sensor in that area at all. And so now I got to put in a healthy sensor so that I'm continuing to expand my healthy boundary, with respect to my ego. And once I do that, man, I'm like, oh, you feel that? Oh, that's just that's peacefulness washing over me. I like that. It's like a warm blanket. So that's kind of how I'm approaching, the healthy boundaries topic and the idea in my life.
I think it's a wonderful, wonderful point of view. The idea that you catch yourself is so critical. I think for folks who want to know more about this, I think Buddhism is a good place to start. Buddhism is compatible with any kind of religion that you have. It's not a dogmatic belief system. It's just a series of ways of looking at things that help you get past your personal suffering. So if you're interested, you might want to check out, Thich Nhat Hanh, wonderful, wonderful Buddhist monk who has a place in France where he holds seminars, and just generally read a little bit on your own and see if it appeals to you. But I think the idea of getting past yourself and seeing that there are other things that are more important or that are at least equally important, that's a good place to start with yourself. That brings about an inner peace, a strength of character, and I think a much lighter feeling in your heart. With your friends and others and strangers as well. So I think setting boundaries for the ego is extremely important.
Absolutely, Rick. And just to kind of close out the show, I think people see you or they see me and they're like, man, you guys got this practice thing nailed down. No, we don't. No, it's every moment we're practicing it. And if there seems to be some kind of presence, or some kind of level that we've reached, there's no level to reach.
That's right. That's a great point.
Yeah, whatever you see is just acceptance, being present, being grateful. You're just seeing that in the moment. So I say all to say that if you are new to this, that to not beat yourself up, like I'm not there yet, there's nowhere to get to. It's just only this moment. And once you boil it down to this moment, you find out that anybody can be here. I mean, at any time, it's literally a choice and it's a commitment and a realization of how you want to spend each moment of your life. And I've just gotten to that realization. And what's followed is consistently maintaining that realization. That's the only difference is I've just gotten to the point to where I can consistently do it. But if I take a day off, all bets are off. I'm back where I was before, suffering. Yeah. So just really treat each moment and any kind of perceived failure, any kind of stumble, just see it as, oh, there's a sensor out, and this is a learning opportunity. And it's not win or lose, it's win and learn. And just continue to learn and continue to practice.
Beautiful. I love that. And I love you. Thanks for including me today. I appreciate it, Keith.
Always, Blue Island. I love you, man. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.
See you soon, man. Adios.
All right. Adios, Rick.